please go on. Thank you. Go on mute. That would be appreciated. Any questions we can leave towards the end. And this session has been recorded, as you just heard. And I'm going to hand over to Rupal. I'll share my screen and hand over to Rupal.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining on this lovely sunny day. So I'm going to talk at you probably for no more than, I hope, 10 or so minutes, and then we'll have a conversation towards the end. So what you're probably aware of, or hopefully you're aware of, is we ran some research which went out to about 3,000 people, 1,500 customers and 1,500 colleagues, mixture of UK and Ireland. And that research was completely anonymous, but we've got some really good findings, some really interesting findings. And what I'll talk you through here is the summary of the report. Clearly, it's a very detailed report, which we've got a link in the deck for. More than happy to access it from our website, which you'll see the link just there on the screen now. So, firstly, actually, really pleased with the media coverage. We don't do research for media coverage. It's a facet of what happens. And normally, based on the quality of the research, you get a small or considerable amount of media research. And we've had radio stations, we've got TV channel, news channels talking to us about going and talking at this live on TV, and we've had great press coverage. So actually, it's really resonated with numerous brands. This is a snapshot of just 7 or 8 articles. We have been trying to tweet them, so if you want to have a look at some more of the articles, just look at the Fujitsu Retail and Hospitality Twitter or LinkedIn account. So back to the detail. So let's just go through the detail. We've got a first slide here talking really about the high street and the consumer view. So bear in mind what I said earlier, 1,500 consumers, 1,500 in store. So the consumer view is really interesting. What do they see the role of the high street? And if you think many years ago, the role of the high street was all encompassing. But actually, 49% of people now think it's about browsing products, and 30% of people think it's about the in-store experience. So there's already a shift. And actually, the main benefits of a store and main benefits of the tech in-store is fundamentally different now. So ordering stock and products, 39% of people think that's where you have IT in stores for. But you can see some stats there. Then looking at the high street and employee views, the colleague view, what do they see used most often? Not a surprise at all. Smart checkouts. That's not a surprise. You see the number of self-checkouts or devices in particular in grocery increasing day by day. But I suppose the one that's quite interesting here is actually mobile point of sale. 48% of people now doing mobile point of sale. And then the bit which I always think is quite interesting is 61% of people believe it allows them to solve customer issues. So it's giving them the ability to really improve the service they're giving to their clients. And to it, and it saves time. So nothing hugely surprising there, but really supports the role of the colleague changing in store at the moment.
Whoever's not on mute, can you please go on mute so not to disturb everybody else for this presentation? Thank you.
Okay, and then over to gaps in technology. This was a customer view again, just to go for that. So 41% of people believe they experience poor in-store technology quite often, very often, or every time they get into a store. I mean, that's a fun stat. I mean, 41%. So 4 out of 10 people think they have poor, quite often, very often, or every time. As a IT supplier into many stores, that's quite a embarrassing stat, actually. That's nowhere near in line with where we would like the market to be. So clearly, lots of work to do in terms of making that experience better. Customer trust, a few stats on there, but again, 75% of people, 3 out of 4 people, trust Amazon or eBay to give a better in-store experience than the high street stores. So if these guys really do come onto the high street at pace, that's going to be a real concern for those legacy providers. Employee view, in terms of where the gaps are, there's clearly some consensus view here, because 73% of people want customers to get the information quicker from their own device. So, beg your pardon. They believe that customers get the information quicker from their own device than the technology they have in store. So based on that, what's the role of a colleague in store? If you've got the data in your own fingertips, what do you want that person to really be doing to serve you? Again, that's the shift in behaviour. And again, really consistent feedback here, 66% to 65% on those other two stats on the left-hand side of the screen. But 65% of employees use their own devices on the shop floor to do their job more effectively. Clearly, we don't know if that's allowed to be used or being used without approval, but that's a massive stat of people using their own devices. And 66% saying that there isn't enough tech for their team. So what's the future of the store? Looking at the consumer view, there is, again, slightly surprising stats for me personally. So 45% of people, consumers that surveyed, said they were happy to receive personalised offers in store. And this is a really interesting one, because actually this goes to the cool versus creepy debate. I think if I'd seen that a year ago, it would have been much lower, but I think people are now starting to say they're happy for things to be pushed to them if they are useful and relevant. However, I also think that 55% that didn't opt in on that one will have a strong view that they don't want that and it feels intrusive. Smart mirrors, which is still early generation versions, but 33% of consumers want to see more of those. I do think there'll be an uplift in take-up, but actually it'll be the next generation. The generation of smart mirrors we've seen at the moment is not perfect in terms of its technology, but you can see as that develops and gets better, that will get more common. But VR, not many people knew what VR was 12, 18 months ago, and now 22% of people are saying they actually want to see more VR in stores. How do you use VR is a question. So do you use that to understand products differently? Do you use that for car showings? Do you use that for product launches? How do you use VR? It's still to be determined. But people are becoming more comfortable using VR. And again, 24% of purchases directly delivered to their car through IoT. So people now not demanding things being delivered to their house or to their office. They want it delivered directly to wherever they are. And of course, a car is a perfect place. If you had a smart car where you can actually open up the boot without being in there wherever it's parked, that opens up a whole logistical debate around how that would work. And then finally on that one, 19% of people are now comfortable or looking to see advanced biometric payments. I'm not hugely surprised at that actually, but that shows the move away from people being more comfortable using things like Apple Pay, whether you go to Palm Pay or Fingerprint Pay or whatever else, but not being wedded to this credit card plastic technology. So same token, what's the consumer view of stores? Big number at the bottom there, 79% of consumers say a more positive experience in store, like personalised vouchers, would make them more likely to spend money in a store. So if you can give people a good experience in store, there is a nearly 80% chance of them spending more money with you. That's got to be worth investing in as a customer, because actually you can see straight away benefit coming to your top line. Consumers see for the future, there's a few other bits there. So they see the high street very much around browsing and also that customer experience. I think we touched on that on the first slide as well. But not a surprise really, those two numbers. The one that supposed to surprise me more was the nearly 80% on the bottom half of that screen. So that's a good summary. I just wanted to give you a bit of a summary of all that together. Clearly lots of numbers there, and it's quite hard to bring it all to life on a screen like this, but there is research. Please feel free to download it. Just the things that we stood out again as a bit of a recap. Consumers would spend more money if retailers had better technology in store. Really simple. So if retailers are willing to spend more money with you, that's got to be worth an investment. The one that's probably a bit more scary if you're a traditional retailer is that the consumers are telling us they trust Amazon and eBay more in their physical presence, and they haven't even done that yet. So actually that brand linked to Amazon and eBay is so strong that that's going to be something that needs to be managed if those guys decide to put up physical stores. They choose one retailer over another, depending on in-store technology. That's what consumers are telling us. So consumers will actually go to a shop now, not because they get a product that's different, because actually most products are quite similar. Price points are pretty similar, but actually because of the technology in store, particularly around the experience. And then very finally, for me for today on this research is consumers want more digital on the high street. So actually, the experience is becoming the norm. It's no longer about just going and picking things up the old-fashioned way of shopping and it being a chore. This is about the experimental shopping, whether that becomes a shopping centre that includes a cinema, restaurants, coffee shops, maybe even train stations, depending on which part of the world you're in. So hopefully that gave you a quick, I did promise 10 to 12 minutes worth of summary of the research. Clearly there's huge amounts of data that goes into this. And there's lots more stats in the report, but we pulled out what we thought was either surprising or stood out in terms of high percentages. So at that point, I will stop and I'll open up for any questions.
If you can come off mute and answer any questions. I've got one for you, actually, Rupal, to start you off with. You've been interviewed by a lot of media. Yeah. What do you think has been the most surprising result that you've seen from either a consumer or an employee perspective?
Yeah, so what's the most fun? For me was that 40% one we just spoke about. So yeah, 40% of people now happy to receive push notifications to their devices. Because that was something which there was a huge debate around in terms of, does that feel too creepy yet? I'm walking past your store and you're pushing me tokens. And I think that's potentially a generational thing, an adoption thing, people becoming more relaxed about it. I think when that starts becoming a problem is if it's not relevant. Because actually, if I turn up to a shopping centre and you're giving me a voucher for a restaurant I actually like going to, or to a shop I shop in, that's really useful. But you sending me things for places which I will never go to, and it's not linked to anything I've ever bought before, is actually annoying. So I think there's probably a bit more acceptance because the technology is allowing you to be more customised.
Okay, great. I'm just going to check if there's any questions on the chat line. Not any questions there. Another one. So, what's the next steps for retailers? What you've summarised some of the next steps. So, what's the key next step really? What do they need to do now? They've got these results in their hands.
It's using this technology and using stores. What's the difference of shopping online and going in the store? I can get a better experience actually when I go online because the experience of people knowing what I've shopped and the trending, giving me suggested things that I've buy, sometimes actually not very accurately, but generally people that have bought this dress would buy these shoes so they match, etc., etc. It's a better experience. And over time, particularly with automating intelligence coming in, you're getting more and more information and building up the database on people and therefore working out more and more about them. When I go to a store, you don't know me. So I start that whole experience again. So the role for me is how do you connect these things up? Because if you don't connect these things up, then actually things like returning clothes to a store, they have to have a whole different financial system, which is effectively you close down a store potentially based on the return. We had a customer talking to me last week. They closed down a couple of stores and they realised within a month their online sales in that area declined. But they didn't realise having the stores there was driving their online sales. So I think we've got to start treating these things as one. I think there won't be a offline, online model. It's got to be treated as one, and we've got to work out how you get the financial systems and everything else to be connected.
Okay, great. Anyone else got any questions?
Done silent.
Silent.
I've either been so good or so bad. I'm not sure which one, but.
So we are going to be at the Jitsu World Tour at the Intercontinental Hotel next to the O2 on the 6th of July. If you are interested, want to find out more, we're going to have a panel at this event where we'll be running through the forgotten shop floor research results. And we're going to have Phil Pavitt from Specsavers. We also have Rupal himself there. We have Dominic Prendergast from Oxford Summer School. We have a representative from Intel and also from Women in Retail as well. So I hope you can join us for this event. If you don't know much about it, please ask. If you're a customer, please ask if you've got any, your account manager can provide you some information on this. Okay. If there's no more questions, we'll close the call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.